Please be seated. Pro-Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, Lord Lieutenant of Cheshire, Vice-Lord Lieutenant of Cheshire, distinguished guests, a very warm welcome to you all as we gather together in Chester's magnificent cathedral on this very special day. My name is Laura Rhodes and I'm University Chaplain. In addition to those of us gathered here in the cathedral, we are also joined by others online, and we extend a warm welcome to each of you as well. Gathered here in Chester Cathedral, it is worth noting the special relationship between the cathedral and the university that goes back to our roots as a pioneering and innovative college founded in 1839. Our university has changed immensely since the 1840s, but our mission statement continues to express our roots and the foundational values, founded in faith, creating community, serving society. Our multi-faith chaplaincy team now has the joy of supporting a vibrant, diverse and international community of staff and students, and each of you have made your own unique contribution in your time with us. And we are thankful for every one of you. And so, as we begin this ceremony, I would encourage each of you to put aside any distractions, including worries about whether your cap is actually going to stay on your head, and simply enjoy this very well-deserved moment. As we begin, let us unite our hearts and our prayers for each one of you graduating today. May you use your unique gifts and talents well, always mindful of the needs of others, and with a heart of care and compassion that is committed to a fairer and more just world. May you keep alive in you a spirit of inquiry and exploration, with an openness to question and be questioned, in the search for truth, learning and new insights. May you find before you new possibilities and wider horizons, and have the confidence to step out in faith, with a sense of adventure, joy and hope, and always let integrity be your guide. And may God bless you today and in all that lies ahead. Amen.
I call upon the Vice-Chancellor to present the Chancellor-elect for installation.
Pro-Chancellor, the University Council has resolved to appoint Dame Jenny Harries as the Chancellor of this university. The Chancellor is the ceremonial head of the university, and as Vice-Chancellor and Principal, I am delighted to introduce Dame Jenny Harries to you all. Born in Hertfordshire and educated in Monmouth, a market town on the border of Wales and England where she now lives, Jennifer Margaret came from a scientific family. Her father, Dr. Peter Higgins, was a virologist in the first public health laboratory service. Coincidentally, he worked on coronavirus, perhaps fueling Jenny's early interests. And he certainly made sure she had a good education whilst trying to dissuade her from a career in medicine. As a lover of history, she explored archaeology as a field of study, but in the end, a medical degree won out. And having intercalated a pharmacology degree, she was awarded a first for that in Birmingham University, the first in pharmacology. She then achieved her MBCHB in 1984. Dame Jenny is a great example of a lifelong learner, as she also gained postgraduate qualifications in planning and commissioning and in health economics from Glamorgan, and a master's in public health from Cardiff. A decade later, Jenny knew she was really interested in how to get things done in a business-like way, and successfully studied for an MBA at the University of South Wales in 2011, becoming a Fellow of the Chartered Management Institute. Amidst all this studying, Jenny was progressing her career as a health professional, undertaking roles in Birmingham as house physician, house surgeon, and medical registrar. 2 years at Southland Hospital in Invercargill, New Zealand, brought lots of new experiences, enabling her to develop her interest in elderly care, before returning to the UK and working in Herefordshire and South Wales, firstly as assistant haematologist, then as specialist registrar for the National Public Health Service, where she served for 10 years. These positions gave her a deep passion for fostering community well-being through a holistic lens, bringing together education, employment, economic growth, and health. And I'm certain that bringing up 4 children must also have been a huge influence, and it is good to welcome Jenny's middle daughter, Dr. Catherine Harries, and her partner, Ms. Hannah Payne, to this ceremony. Public health was to define the rest of Jenny's career, as she took director roles across Wales and England. Her leadership skills were obviously recognised, as with each move, the remit of her jobs grew. She took on a regional director of public health role for the south of England, where she led an Ebola screening programme at UK airports, work which was recognised with the award of an OBE in the 2016 Honours List. Jenny then became Deputy Medical Director, then Deputy Chief Medical Officer for England and Second Permanent Secretary at the Department of Health and Social Care in 2019. Little did she know that a year later, a prominent public media role awaited, delivering daily COVID-19 briefings from number 10 Downing Street to our sitting rooms. At the time, she was described by Vogue magazine as the calm foil to the pandemonium of the pandemic. And there is no doubt her common sense, honest style of communication was definitely what was needed. Dame Jenny has made significant contributions to a number of major recent UK health protection responses, in addition to COVID-19 and Ebola. For example, Zika virus, the first Mpox case, MERS, and the Novichok attacks at Salisbury. From 2021, she brought 4 organisations together as the founding chief executive of the UK Health Security Agency, UKHSA, a large multidisciplinary science and evidence-based organisation tasked with protecting the nation from external threats to health. Here she launched 2 global firsts in which she takes deep pride: a Centre for Climate and Health Security and a Health Equity for Security strategy, topics deeply aligned with the ambitions of this university. Recognised in 2022 with a damehood, at her retirement in 2025, the agency had contributed significantly to progressing new diagnostic tests and vaccines, and had research and emergency response teams operating throughout England and indeed across 5 continents. Daunting achievements built on the international recognition of her expertise, as Jenny has contributed to health policy and evaluation projects in many countries, including Pakistan, Albania, India, Brazil, and New Zealand. It's encouraging for us all to know that preparedness for pandemics has been a key priority, whether as the founding chair of the World Health Organization Europe's Network for Disease Control, or as the co-chair of the Strategic Advisory Group, establishing the International Pathogen Surveillance Network. Community remains central to Dame Jenny's interests, and retiring from the UKHSA this year has given her time to take on the chair of Community Pharmacy England, alongside a directorship of the Biotech Growth Trust and a role as a Deputy Lieutenant of Gwent. She's maintained her love of history and culture through restoring an old house, collecting antique buttons, and walking in the countryside, particularly in Suffolk, where many childhood hours spent in the pottery of her free-thinking and creative great-aunt Muriel were a perfect antidote to her sensible parents. Here at Chester, Dame Jenny has been a visiting professor since 2019, and when considering candidates for this important ceremonial role of Chancellor, we reflected on what a support she has been to this emerging university and to our ambitions to develop medical education. Last year, I met the Chief Medical Officer, Sir Chris Whitty, at a conference, and he said, "No need to tell me about Chester Medical School. Dame Jenny has already told me about how great it is." With such an advocate who brings a wealth of experience of relevance across all our university's faculties, we can only go from strength to strength. Dame Jenny Harries, I have the honour to express the gratitude of the university that you have consented to accept this office of Chancellor. It is my duty now respectfully to ask you to make a declaration that you will maintain and safeguard the duties and rights of the university.
I, Jenny Harries, hereby declare that I will duly fulfil the office of Chancellor and Head of the University, and that I will faithfully endeavour to maintain and uphold the duties, dignities and rights of the University in all things lawful and honest.
Jenny Harries, I install you in your chair of office as the Chancellor of the University of Chester. I express my sincere hope and wish that you may long continue to occupy it and that the university may flourish and prosper under your guidance and direction. I now invite the Chancellor to address the congregation.
Lord Lieutenant of Cheshire and representatives of the Lieutenancy, Lord Mayor of Chester, Pro-Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, academic and professional staff, distinguished guests and those joining online. I'm humbled to be addressing you as Chancellor this afternoon, and thank you, Vice-Chancellor, for that very kind introduction. We will all likely have a few momentous occasions where the world just seems to temporarily pause, where elation and incredulity allied, and suddenly we absorb the reality and the personal enormity of a particular moment and context. For you, the new graduates of Chester University, one of those moments is going to come very soon. When you walk across the stage collect your degree and realise what you have done and what you have become. And for me, your new Chancellor, in many ways, I will be sharing one of those moments with you. It seems almost impossible to me that I should be standing here assuming the role of Chancellor at this institution, whose origins extend back 2 centuries, and to do so in such a wonderfully historic building and surrounded by such glorious pomp and ceremony. When many years ago, my initial plan in life was simply to go to university and do a course that would help people. In recent years, I've been privileged to experience other moments walking into historic rooms in the centre of Whitehall or attending the World Health Assembly with every nation almost on the earth represented, or of course speaking to 25 million people from a podium at number 10. These are moments where you pinch yourself and question, is this really happening to me? But I've come to realise that for many, myself included, these breath-stopping moments of self-reflection serve a really critical purpose. They are turning points in individual lives, and importantly, they're the starting pages of personal history for the future, and often of opportunity for the nation or the world. And some of that opportunity is made right here in Chester and by Chester graduates. This, for me, is one of those moments. What I hope these words convey is just how honoured I am that those who oversee this university have put their trust in me to become its Chancellor, and that I'm totally committed to supporting the institution and all who are part of the local and global family of Chester University in all its endeavours. Of course, Chester University may not have grown so vibrantly without the support and nurture of the previous Chancellor, Giles Brandreth, over more than 8 years. And I want to pay tribute to his dedication, and I'm delighted that Giles will continue to be here for the university in his role as Chancellor Emeritus. But with the onward progression of the previous Chancellor, it was inevitable that the incoming Chancellor should just have a few anxious comparative thoughts. How had Giles managed to carry out this role so successfully? What were the critical attributes he brought to his chancellorship? In short, how was I going to be a good chancellor? Pullovers were the first thing that came to my panicked mind. I don't have many, and I certainly don't have the collection that Giles Brandreth has. What would be my USP to promote and emblazon Chester University in people's consciousness? Now, one of my children suggested my eclectic sock wardrobe could act as an effective counterbalance. And in fairness, my socks are quite far-ranging in their motifs: kiwis, Monet paintings, licorice, all sorts. But in media interviews and photographs, I've learnt that cameras tend to focus on faces and fronts rather than one's feet. And then I recognised Giles' raconteur skills, his expertise with words, his television appearances, his podcasting. And by comparison, my recent career skills seemed far less entertaining and able to influence. They're predominantly recognised, as the Vice-Chancellor has said, in scientific areas such as research, pharmacy and emergency response. But Giles and I do strangely have something in common, and that is Winnie the Pooh. We both recognise that the books which on the face of it are designed for children are frequently filled with critical messages to take with you for adult life, and I will return to one of those later. I asked AI if there was a collective noun for a pair of chancellors now that we have 2 in Chester. The only suggestion seemed to be a cheat of chancellors, which doesn't seem to transmit the air of integrity that I know both Giles and I feel is a fundamental criterion for any successful leader or for life itself. But what we lack in a descriptor, we make up for in the diversity of our skills and backgrounds, and most importantly, in using them in our shared endeavour, unending enthusiasm to promote and support this institution in the future. Now, I confess I was a little worried about the timing of my installation today. For those looking at the recent newspaper headlines, the one that reads, UK Chancellor refuses to rule out tax increase in budget, belongs to the other Chancellor. I'm not the one responsible for any possible tax changes later in November. That would likely seriously dim my popularity ratings before I have even started properly in the role. And in fact, thanks to some very hard work by the Vice-Chancellor and her team, Chester University is one that is in a comparatively good state of financial readiness, whilst always recognising the ongoing need for careful prudence and efficiency, but also the opportunities for onward growth with more resources. But the thing I do have in common with that Chancellor is that we are the first women to hold our respective posts, and of course the name of our roles. And that name, Chancellor, derives from a Latin word, cancellarius, which is the person who separated the judge and court officials in a Roman law court from the public. And later, in Old French, it became chancelier, the centre of office work, or the chancellery. And in modern terms, it's most frequently recognised as an official with duties, often in charge of some areas of government. In fact, Chancellor of a university only comes in around 4th place in the list of jobs I found, which was actually very reassuring. Because when one is looking for jobs, and I know this will be uppermost in the minds of many of you graduating today, it's always good to know that your skills are transferable. And in my case, it seems, if life gets slow in Chester, in name at least, I could take over the Ministry of Justice, head up Germany or Austria, or become the lead foreman of a jury under Scottish law, all of whom have Chancellor roles. But I actually expect the Chancellor role here to be wonderful, and although often reported as a largely ceremonial role, I consider that to be what you might call the Chancellor Light option, because it can be a deeply symbolic role and carry huge opportunities as an advocate for the university and its students. The Chancellor Maxi version, if you like, is the latter one, and the one I intend to pursue. Why? Why do I feel so passionately about this institution, the university you are graduating from, and which from today I now serve as Chancellor? It's because it has a strong past, a necessary future, and a deep personal resonance. In 2021, the Times Higher Educational Journal noted Chester University was the 5th oldest higher education establishment in England, with only Oxford, Cambridge, Durham, and London preceding. That is a remarkable history in itself. Its founders in 1839 included 2 future prime ministers, and it was Gladstone who in 1942 opened the original buildings which are still in use today. But it's also a highly successful modern university with rapid growth and expansion in student numbers, taught subjects and research, and in a remarkably short period of time. So now, in 2025, there is a heady mix of opportunity here for all across its many campus locations. It's retained its strong foundation in education. There is an award-winning business school, a law school, a medical school. There are innovative courses, including the first local in sustainability education linked with Chester Zoo. Its international alumni now number over 100,000, and it prides itself in recognising that multidisciplinarity and diverse backgrounds are a necessity for success, not an optional extra. And through all these achievements runs a golden thread of social responsibility and opportunity, of learning with and through others, of developing citizen students through a unique citizen-student strategy, and of supporting educational translation for better outcomes, not just for the students themselves, but for society as a whole. Career-ready, future-focused is not just the hashtag running on the university website, it is a lived reality which enables great education and great onward employment to run side by side. So, what are the issues on the global horizon which might throw our university off course or give it its greatest next opportunity? Machine learning and large language models, the advent of AI, we're at the foothills of change which will undoubtedly impact not just education delivery and integrity, but potentially more fundamental issues of human interaction. There's social and economic upheaval and unrest. There is an unprecedented dawn of new science and medicine possibilities, which arrive both with groundbreaking, life-saving positivity for some, and the serious possibility of misuse and danger for others. And global connectedness and global warming will continue to drive patterns of adaptation and population movement, bringing risks of new illnesses and global food shortages. The need to stay abreast of all of these changes, many of which you will be working on, is not something which one department or one faculty or one university even can contend with. Indeed, one of the good things about so many changes in the world is that the historic natural competition between educational establishments subsides in the face of an oversupply. Now, as a doctor and public health professional, I am clearly itching, although I recognise that might not be a very healthy idiom to use, to work with the Chester Medical School, where I already see developing a unique programme of community-focused medical training so needed by global communities, and which I believe Chester can own uniquely and excel in. If I look back over my own life experience, I have the benefit of seeing these challenges in the Chester approach in context. I'm the first woman in my family to go to university. I intentionally studied classics at A-level. Plan A was to be an archaeologist. But I became more socially aware I wanted to pursue a career I thought was worthwhile and would help people. I discovered there were medical courses that welcomed those that did not have traditional entry routes or work experience. People often asked why I took classics A-levels when I knew I wanted to study medicine, and in truth for me, it felt as though I was shutting a door on a wider learning opportunity that did not seem to be an acceptable response to those querying. But I now have several evidential rationales. When I started learning anatomy, I simply translated the organs in the body. Your parotid gland is para otis, it's by your ear. When I started prescribing medicines, I had no problem with strange terminology. TDS on any prescription you might get means tertiae sumendum, to be taken 3 times a day. And when I started working in public health, all of the bugs, of course, had Latin names. Even more importantly, the logic of translating accurately a Latin sentence required the same sorts of unbiased investigation that you have to use in an outbreak of infectious diseases. And although, of course, I didn't know at the time I was going to be the Chancellor of Chester University, it turns out that opening and closing a graduate ceremony necessitates some Latin. And so once again, this breadth of learning has turned out to be a blessing. It doesn't have to be Latin. In case you're all fearful, I'm about to try and reverse the progress in the curriculum. I have just learnt that studying something new in a different discipline or a different department is priceless. It enriches my thinking, the lens through which I view the world, and my empathy and understanding of others. In short, multidisciplinarity invariably comes in handy in life, and Chester excels in it. When I studied an MBA, I intentionally studied in a business school, nothing to do with medicine or public sector. I studied with those growing startup companies, running factories, leading advertising companies, because what I actually found is that there is no clear demarcation between promoting and delivering health. I found everyone had their part. In fact, providing decent jobs in a caring and convivial social context evidentially translates directly through to good population health and a reduction in social inequalities. And when I started moving up the career path, I saw clearly that I needed others to help to deliver what I wanted. And I moved into regional and national roles because I wanted to see why those in posts in national government or in regions did not seem to me to be changing things for the better in ways which seemed glaringly obvious at local level. And that is how I ended up being the Deputy Chief Medical Officer on your televisions during the pandemic. As the Vice-Chancellor said, I've been an honorary professor at the university since 2019. It's precisely these same principles of multidisciplinarity, inclusivity, innovation, opportunity, and service to society which drew me to work with the university then. I did not set out at any point in my career to get to a top job. I found myself in some by accident because I arrived in posts simply spotting opportunities to do things better for society and working across systems and sectors. And that, of course, is where my career, including my new chancellorship, your journeys, and the university's endeavours, all happily collide. We are all seeking excellence in academia, to respect and learn from each other, and to do so in the context of improving society in a rapidly changing world. What better purpose in life could there be for a university and the students, citizens of Chester? Now, as I close, I could just drop in one of those pertinent Winnie the Pooh quotes. As Piglet once said, It isn't much good having anything exciting if you can't share it with somebody. For the graduates this week, you will have made friends for life at Chester, and there are hundreds of people with whom to share your excitement in this ceremony, and I can share my excitement as Chancellor too. There is, of course, a slight irony in someone who has been telling the whole nation to wash their hands in the pandemic, now going to sequentially shake hands with hundreds of different students and not a single hand basin in sight. But rightly, public health advice is often context specific, and so it is today. Today, that handshake or recognition on stage is a signal of your individual success, of the university's success, and of success in supporting societal change. You have all contributed, as have your families and supporters. Savour the moment your name is read out and your very special day, and I will equally savour the privilege of being your Chancellor from this day forward. Lord Lieutenant, Vice-Chancellor, colleagues, students and friends, thank you again for the trust you have placed in me. Together, we can write the next chapter, and I'm looking forward to every day of it. Permissum vicis in eo. I declare open this congregation for the presentation of degrees and awards. I now invite Professor David McGravy to address the congregation.
Good afternoon. My name is Professor Dave McGravy, and I'm the Pro-Vice-Chancellor and Executive Dean for Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. It is both an honour and a genuine pleasure to welcome you all to this magnificent cathedral, whether you are joining us in person or virtually, as we come together to celebrate your individual and collective achievements. Today, we congratulate graduates from the School of Education. Our vision is partnership with the learner at its heart to promote a just and decent society. Our early career teachers gathered here today have realised this vision through tireless dedication to their own learning, to their pupils and to each other. Never has it been more important to bring good teachers into the classrooms. The earliest years of a person's life, the formative years of primary age and secondary teenage years, are crucial in forming people's character, building self-esteem and instilling vibrant curiosity about the world. The challenges all children face today, from increased access to technology, misinformation, societal division, mean that they need teachers now more than ever before. This also sharpens university's focus and instills resolution and conviction in the School of Education to make sure all associate teachers are fully prepared as they can be. The burden of this responsibility is great, and this special graduation moment marks the passing over of this great responsibility onto you, our proud, hard-working, energetic and passionate University of Chester early career teachers. I know that the teacher training courses, whether they are a PGCE or a BA Honours undergraduate course, have instilled in you all the attributes of special teachers, teachers whose minds are broad, whose knowledge is deep, teachers who can navigate complexity, teachers with the endless professionalism, teachers who understand that they too are learners and must keep faith with their learning journeys that they are on, and teachers who understand the importance of community building, of theory, of research, who are producers of research and not just consumers of it, teachers who, in short, have achieved the highest levels of professionalism and academic expertise to inform their craft and build a better society and a better world. We wish you the very best for this great mission and urge you to stay in touch with your tutors and mentors. Teachers' ongoing learning is as important as their initial qualification, and the School of Education will always be there for you, to support you, to grow, to learn and develop further. We take immense pride in all that you've achieved. We hold every confidence that you will continue to strive for excellence and make meaningful contributions in the years ahead. Importantly, our relationship with you does not end today. It is my pleasure to officially welcome you into our global alumni community, which now numbers over 100,000 strong. Today, a door is opened to a wealth of opportunities and continued support. We are committed to walking alongside you as you progress through your career and any future academic pursuits. As a graduate at the University of Chester, you are a Cestrian for life. You will enjoy a range of benefits, including your certificate and, of course, your amazing tote bag, but also much more. You'll have lifelong access to career support, discounts on further study, and invitations to a variety of outstanding events throughout the year, and continue access to university's libraries. Please do stay in touch so that we can celebrate your achievements, which we know will inspire the next generation of students. This week sees the launch of our new campaign, Chester Made. It is about celebrating where your degree takes you, from your first steps on campus to the successes that follow. We want your photos, we want your videos, and we want your stories. So please do scan the QR codes found in your program today so that you can share your journey with us. Before we have the pleasure of congratulating each and every one of you as you take all that important walk across the stage, I'd like to conclude with a few heartfelt words of thanks. First, the Dean of the Chapter for this magnificent cathedral. Thank you for facilitating us today in this what is an awe-inspiring setting. To everyone who's contributed to making such a memorable occasion, from our dedicated staff and students to alumni, both past and present, who have generously given their time to ensure everything runs smoothly, thank you. To the families, friends, and loved ones who have supported you throughout your studies, your encouragement has been invaluable. To our governors, whose guidance helps shape the future of this institution. To the academics, who have taught, challenged, and supported you throughout your journey. To our professional service staff, who have cared for you in countless ways, many of which have gone unseen, but were deeply felt. And most importantly, to you, our graduates. Thank you for choosing the University of Chester. Today, in this extraordinary setting, with all the splendour and celebration, we hope to give you a day you will remember for the rest of your lives. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Professor Darren Sprosson, Interim Dean of Chester School of Education, and it's my pleasure to present candidates for their degrees and awards. Chancellor, in the name of the Senate, I present to you this graduand for admission to the degree of Doctor of Education in this university.
By virtue of the authority invested in me, I admit this graduand to the degree of Doctor of Education of the University of Chester.
For a programme of study entitled Enabling Organisational Congruency, a critical examination of character, culture and strategic intent at the University of Chester, Kirsty Simpson. Chancellor, in the name of the Senate, I present to you these graduands for award of postgraduate certificate in education in this university.
By virtue of the authority invested in me, I present to these graduands the award of postgraduate certificate in education of the University of Chester.
Megan Addy. Adeyemi Ajayi. Vicky Aldred. Neve Allen. James Anderson. Francis Andrew. Emily Bardill. Natasha Baring. Joshua Beat. Laurie Bellis. Molly Benyon. John Blackman. Chloe Blair. Sarah Jane Buckley. Molly Burke. Emily Burns. Anya Butler. Teresa Cade. Bushra Chalishkan Nelson. James Cherms. Palvi Clark. Emily Clark Wheatley. Neve Collins. Lauren Cook. Charlotte Cooley. James Copestake. Hannah Kopner. Leah Cox. Rebecca Crook. Thomas Cunningham. Amanda Davies. Benjamin Davies. Flynn Davies. Molly Dagg. Neve Dilworth. James Donnelly. Natalie Doran. Rebecca Draper. Jennifer Earps. Jamie Edwards. Michelle Edwards Sutton. Kerry Evans. Megan Evans. Christian Faulkner. Molly Finley. Poppy Flanagan. Frank Fowles. Courtney Franklin. Gustav Hein Freeberg. Amy Frovine. Abigail Gandhi. Georgina Gardner. Keenan Gawthorpe. Megan George. Harry Gorman. Chloe Gray. Heidi Green. Ruan Hallett. Claire Hamilton. Olivia Hammond. Charlotte Hanstock. Maximus Hedges. Neve Helen. Harriet Hendley Jones. Sarah Higgins. Sarah Hill. Charlotte Hilton. Oliver Holford. Ewan Holland. Emily Holmes. Lucy Holmes. Poppy Humphrey. Libby Hunt. Eden Maria Islands Vans. Chloe Isom. Chloe Jenkins. Dana Johnston. Daniel Jones. Ellie Jones. Isabel Jones. Molly Jones. Morgan Jones. Robin Jones. Sarah Jones. Neve Kelly. Harry Killick. Holly Kingham. Jessie Ladd. Katie Latham. Kelsey Lawson. Nicole Lindop. Jessica Leeson. Charlotte Lloyd Williams. Maisie MacDonald. Dennis Florian Marin. Georgia Matthews. Neve McDonough. Sarah McGibbon. Rachel Maguire. William Mackay. Samuel Megan. Recipient of the University Prize for Innovation in Education, Susan M. Chance, St. Peter's, Saltley Prize, Bhavini Ben-Nirza. Samuel Morehouse. Sophie Morris. Ellie Mort. Emily Mosley. Jacob Motton. Benjamin Moulton. Regan Malarkey. Daniel Murray. Rhiannon Murray. Hugo Norris. Bronwyn Norton. Johan O'Neill. Diana Orenchak. James Palin. Katie Parker. Naomi Parsonage. Christoph Pastor. Rebecca Perrins. Heather Phillips. Amy Piper. Megan Plant. Michael Price. Michelle Redding. Sophie Reichen. Claire Ravens. Ben Richards. Sally Riley. Gaynor Roberts. Roe Robson. Emma Rogers. Victoria Roscoe. Leanne Rose. Lottie Rowlands. George Rugen. Jessica Riding. Jack Sanderson. Leanne Scott. Anastasia Sharples. Hannah Sheard. Emily Shipston. Uiana Silva Garcia. Catherine Smart. Sophie Smith. Benjamin Speak. Lewis Stelfox. Christina Stevanovic. Kelsey Stevens. Charlotte Stranks. Elizabeth Sutherland. Rhys Thomas. James Thompson. Lisa Thompson. Louis Thornton. Caroline Thorpe. Chelsea Tilley. Olivia Tonks. Grace Tripp. Amelia Tweedy. Sean Underwood. Thomas Urbanas. Zoe Walters. Samuel Walton. Molly Warburton. Toya Ward. Katie Wellman. Liam Wentle. Amelia Wilcox. Daniel Wilkinson. Seven Williams. Sydney Williams. Georgia Wood. Keris Wrench. Jamie Wrench. Emily Young. Faiza Zouali. Chancellor, in the name of the Senate, I present to you these graduates for admission to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with honours in this university.
By virtue of the authority invested in me, I admit these graduates to the degree of Bachelor of Arts of the University of Chester.
Malika Ahmed Rana. Emma Allen. India Ashley. Joshua Barker. Emily Barrett. Grace Bennett. Hannah Booth. Ellie Bradbrook. Katie Bragg. Rebecca Briley. Eleanor Burke. Bethany Leigh Carty. Eleanor Charlesworth. Shannon Chilton. Holly Clark. Stephanie Cleaver. Talitha Cluck. Hannah Coxon. Eleanor Cunningham. Emily Cuthbert. Amy Davis. Sophie Davis. Emily Deckwer. Vijay Delange. Maisie Dodd. Emma Dodsworth. Lily Ella Eaton. Danielle Evans. Melissa Fox. Lauren Garrett. Abigail Gifford. Harry Good. Victoria Griffiths. Libby Hancock. Tegan Harper Maund. Lucy Harrison. Emma Hastings. Jake Hawksworth. Megan Henshaw. Harry Hunt. Charlie Jackson. Ellie Jackson. Jennifer Jeffries. Caitlin Jones. Phoebe Jones. Victoria Kershaw. Emma Langford. Holly Lewis. Tegan Lewis. Nia Lewis Rees. Keris Locker. Ellen Lovell. David Lunt. Bethan Martin. Emily McDermott. Katie Mercer. Yayan Millington. Isabel Malloy. Kate Myers. Sally Newbrook. Ewan Nichols. Samantha O'Hanlon. Jodie O'Toole. Lucy Peart. Millie Peters. Isabel Plum. Megan Powell. Jade Pridden. Grace Reed. Megan Reed. Ella Roberts. Emily Jane Roberts. Katie Roberts. Amy Robinson. Alice Robinson. Nikita Roebuck. Sophie Shooter. Amber Smart, Gemma Smith, Libby Stephen, Holly Stevenson, Abigail Taras, Freya Thornhill, Fionn Toop, Louise Traynor, Stevie Turrell, Lucinda Ward, Lucy Ward, Amelia Whitley, Holly Wiley, Lois Wilkie, Kelly Williams, Sophie Winwood, Alexander Wright, Olivia Yabsley, Chancellor, in the name of the Senate, I present to you this graduand for the award of Diploma of Higher Education in this university.
By virtue of the authority invested in me, I present to this graduand the award of Diploma of Higher Education of the University of Chester.
Georgina Davies. Chancellor, in the name of the Senate, I present to you these graduands from the University Centre Shrewsbury for admission to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with honours in this university.
By virtue of the authority invested in me, I admit these graduands to the degree of Bachelor of Arts of the University of Chester.
Finlay Aymer. Megan Brown. Rebecca Crook. William Davis. Millie Day. William Ford. Emily Foreman. Emily Haley. Ella Melville. Freya Owen. Charlotte Powell. Recipient of the University Prize for Excellent Teaching Skills, Morrell Prize, Bethany Shepherd. Georgia Smith. Ella Watt. Laura Wheeler. Alice Williams. Chancellor, I make application to you to present the degrees and awards listed to those candidates at the University of Chester who have not been presented in person, but whose names appear in the programme and who have indicated that they wish their degrees to be presented in their absence. I certify that they are worthy to receive those degrees and awards, and I stand as proxy for them.
I admit them to those degrees and present those awards, and I accept you as a proxy. I now invite Emma Dodsworth, graduate of the class of 2025, to address the congregation.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emma Dodsworth, and I am incredibly proud to be standing here today as a graduate of primary education. Firstly, a huge congratulations to all my fellow graduates in initial teacher training from the Chester School of Education. It feels like only yesterday we were nervously walking into our first lectures, wondering how on earth we'd make it to this moment. And yet, here we are, graduates, teachers, and ready to make a difference. Over the past few years, we've learned so much more than just how to plan lessons or assess learning. We've learned resilience, patience, and the power of connection. We've laughed together, supported one another, and probably shared more than a few tears over assignments and observations. But every challenge has shaped us into the teachers and people we are today. After completing my degree in July, I began a new chapter as a Year 4 teacher in Newcastle. I now have 30 wonderful, curious, energetic pupils who remind me every single day why I chose this career. When I see their faces light up as they learn something new, I am reminded of the amazing tutors and mentors who helped us light that same spark. Looking around the cathedral today, I see such an inspiring mix of journeys. Among us are those who came straight into their degrees, those who returned to study later in life, parents who balanced essays with family life, and others who found the courage to change direction and follow a new path. It has been an honour to learn alongside such remarkable people and to share this chapter of life together. To my family, my best friend Emily, my partner Will, thank you for your unwavering support, encouragement, and belief in me. To the incredible staff at the University of Chester and my wonderful Pat, John, thank you for your guidance, your inspiration, and for reminding us that education has the power to change lives. If there's one thing that I've learned from this journey, it's that growth often happens in moments when you step outside of your comfort zone, even if you're not sure that you can do it yet. And the second is that teaching, at its heart, is about connection, about seeing the potential in every child, celebrating their successes and helping them to believe that they can achieve more than they ever thought possible. So congratulations once again to all my fellow graduates. We've achieved something amazing. And now it's our turn to go out into the world and help others discover the joy of learning just as we have. So let's give ourselves a big round of applause.
As your graduation ceremony draws to a close, we hope this day has been memorable for you and for those who've supported you throughout your studies. I want to add my own congratulations to all of you here. This is a special day that you will always remember, and you should be very proud of yourselves. The future is yours. Own it well. I declare closed this congregation for the presentation of degrees and awards. Salva sit universitas nostra, quod precantes consugamus.